you feel any pull, any desire to live somewhere else?
Nothing is hard and fast.
I love the idea of raising my child bilingual.
One of the things that holds me back from moving is knowing how many people this is happening to.
I don't know that I feel safe.
Didn't like the way her kids were being treated, and guess what her mom did?
What?
Packed up and moved the family to Mexico. But you would be crazy to get abused in your home and not start to say, should I stay in this home?
There's a different way to do it.
There's a different way to do it. It's easier to prove your innocence in China or Russia than it is in the US.
You have to go to get away and disappear.
Maybe you're not just moving to one place, but maybe you're beginning a wonderful global around the world and back again journey.
It can literally open up so many things.
Dream with us.
You have to go to the live, thrive, love.
I keep it bouncy, girls know they don't doubt me, yeah, they around me, yeah, they remind me, you know my bouncy, you know I keep it bouncy,
Hey guys, it's Carlos Watson. We're back with another edition of the Watson Stronger Together. Today we're talking about something that's happening a lot, about whether or not we should move overseas. And for me, that comes from a lot of places. Part of it comes from the craziness we just went through. We call it the hurricane, the nightmare.
Absolutely.
Like, do we need to take a message from that and go somewhere else? Part of it comes from watching people move to Portugal and other places and starting to think, you know, there's one of the...
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more.
And what do you think? Should we?
That's a good question.
I mean,
But is it a question you're taking seriously, or you just have too much going on and you're not even really taking it seriously?
It's something that I will entertain. I don't think, nothing is like hard and fast, no, I'm definitely gonna go, or no, I'm definitely not gonna go. Neither of them hard and fast. I think that there are pros and cons to each side. I think we've all lived overseas at some point in time.
I've not lived overseas, but you guys properly lived overseas.
Right.
And for a significant amount of time, right? So
Right.
I've lived in Brazil, in high school, in college, in law school, and then even afterwards. I've lived in Southern Africa, in Angola, in Mozambique for significant periods of time. And so I'm open to it. I know what it's like. And I'm also thinking about what does it look like
Oh,
with
that's
a young
interesting.
son.
Do you think that maybe dims it? Because for me, I'm over here thinking, I'm seeing things like Adisa in Thailand.
Yeah.
And so there's a woman from Arizona who's moved to Thailand with her son and talks about how much cheaper it is, how much safer she feels with him, how free she feels without kind of the yoke of lots of things on her neck. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe I do need to think differently. But for me, it's all theoretical. Is it different because you've actually already lived overseas?
Not only because I've actually lived it, but working in international development, where I've also and global education. I spent a significant amount of times in Asia, Cambodia, Thailand, and I spent time in Portugal. I studied abroad there. That I thought about it, and community, though, is also very important for me at this stage of my life. And as I think about raising Carlito, it is doing so in community. And so wherever you go, like, for example, I think of Brazil as my second home. And so if I went there, I do have friends that are like family.
And we speak the language, so.
Right. So that is a possibility, but I'm not sure I feel called to go there now. Right?
Interesting. And Carolyn, do you feel any pull? Is it just me saying it? Do you feel any pull, any desire to seriously explore or to live somewhere else?
I don't feel a pull, but I feel a possibility. I can do it. I'm open to it. I also think community is a really big thing as well. I think is important, and so. And also knowing, the language of a place, knowing the culture of a place, having the hospitals, knowing,
Right.
schooling. So, to me, some of the basic foundational structural things, I think.
What about the idea that it's cheaper, safer, and more fun? Like, if you genuinely believed that you could live over there on $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and you could live well. You could live over there on
I
40,000 or
believe
50,000 better than you could live here on 400,000. If you believe that,
But better is like if you go to Sao Paulo or to Rio, that's really not, like if you go in the capital, the cities, and you want access to the better hospitals, to
The better
schools and operas. But saying that, I do love the idea of raising my child bilingual and by, different countries and feeling at home in different places. So I'd be open. I actually think part of the year, and I also want to think where would you want to go? So you're open to it. Where would you think about?
I would think about parts of Asia, so Thailand. I would think
Have
about.
you been there before?
Yeah, have you
I've been there
there?
before.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys rode elephants there.
Yeah. Chiang
They
Mai.
actually have really good singers there. That's what I remember.
I
That
don't
there's so
remember.
many
I don't
of their
remember
kind of
that.
local singers. Fantastic.
I remember it being super cheap. I remember being able to go to the beach and get an hour-long massage for like
$5,
Yeah.
$10. We did that for my post-bar trip with one of my good girlfriends, and I loved Thailand, which is also very different than Hong Kong than Macau.
Right.
But-
Hong Kong would be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
I also could see parts of Africa, Senegal, even though I don't speak French.
People there was beautiful.
Yeah.
I did a layover in Senegal, and I was like, oh my gosh, there literally were so many beautiful dark-skinned people that I was just like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
One of the conversations I was going to have with you before in another one of our sessions was about being dark skinned and what that experience is like, good, bad, and otherwise. And that's interesting when you talk about Senegal and all of a sudden, and I wonder how many dark skinned people experience that in certain African countries, really kind of feeling the fullness of being there. That's interesting. We'll have to come back to that but that also could be interesting in terms of a place that feels warm and feels welcoming and feels like home. But I could see, Senegal, I could see parts of South Africa, I could see parts of Ghana. I'm curious, I don't know what it would be like, but I'm curious to see places like Kenya, about whether or not that could be a part of it. But I could see that, and obviously, Black Americans have wrestled with that for a long time. During the Civil War, President Lincoln at one point wanted to send Black Americans to either parts of South America or parts of Africa, and in fact,
Sierra Leone
and Liberia, many
went.
Black Americans ended up moving over there and created its own dynamic. And so there is a part of me, during the 1900s. People like the author Richard Wright and W.B. Du Bois and others,
But they
ended
went
up
to
moving to
Paris.
Europe.
Yeah, they went
ended
to
up moving
Paris.
to Europe, because they
Yeah.
felt freer there, right?
Yeah.
Paul Robeson and
lot of
others like
people
that.
went
I
to
mean, Portugal
Europe.
was beautiful. I really enjoyed. My mom, as you remember, studied there. That's where she learned Portuguese. I studied Universidade Nova de Lisboa, the same university she studied. So I could imagine Portugal, Italy, Greece, but those are places I want to visit. I don't know if I want to live. And so I love living in Brazil, but that was in a different season and a different time. And so part of what you're saying is rural versus urban. I like rural to visit, but I really am an urban person. I want access to the best restaurants, to theater, to museums, to lectures, and you don't always get that in some of the rural places, small towns that you might go. But like if you're in Cape Town,
That's so interesting though, because I think I don't know. I may just, again, I'm the person who hasn't lived overseas. You guys have lived overseas, but I think I might be able to handle a smaller, quieter life.
That's funny, Renda. I don't know that. I don't know that you.
Well, think about how simply. I'm someone who would love it if some pickup basketball was available.
Right.
I would love it. I love my TV and movies.
Yeah.
I love good people. I love kind of quiet areas.
So you'd have to have Wi-Fi that works. I mean, I know there's places in Angola where you don't actually have water, right? And so we had to get our water tanks filled. And so that is a different kind of living. And, I would like to do that, I think, part of the year. I think the question is if I want that to be.
That's interesting.
I'm not sure. That's interesting. I'm not sure I would like that for part of the year for Carlito to be in school here and then have to upend and like sort of leave your friends behind, right?
Unless you have two communities and you feel at home in both
And I
places.
have friends who are from China, and they very intentionally,
Yes.
my friend He Song very intentionally had his kids, they would do at times full year school in America, but then they would do the summers
Yeah.
in China. And then the reverse, there were times when he enrolled them in, I think it was junior high or elementary, they did school in China.
Oh, interesting.
And then they did summers here, and then he would flip it. And so he actually thought there was a value, in fact, a competitive advantage to his kids being fully comfortable
In both
in
places.
two places.
And I mean, I felt
can
like
see
that
that.
growing up in Miami,
Yeah,
which was so diverse, and I felt like literally a global citizen. You walk around, you hear Spanish, you hear
German.
Portuguese, you hear lots of different languages. So
Turkish.
I sort of felt like that in Miami, and when I lived abroad as a 16-year-older in Brazil by myself without my family, it was like, okay, but wow, that's when I recognized I was American, actually.
Wow. Carolyn, where could you live? Like if someone said that you had to go, not whether you want to go, that you had to go.
So there are two different things I think that you're trying to solve for. One is, where do you have to go to get away and disappear, right?
Right.
The other is, where do you have to go to live, thrive, love? The live, thrive, love is, I don't know that, so the Jamaica, the Brazil, Ghana. I think those three places.
Okay.
I feel like I would have more of a ready-made, or not ready-made, but a community, developable community in both Jamaica and Brazil.
You think you would do well in Jamaica? It's interesting that Jamaica was not on my list. Our dad obviously is from Jamaica.
Right.
And so you would think Jamaica would be on my list, and growing up in Miami, it's close. But Jamaica hasn't even been in my consciousness. But Jamaica is on your list?
But she's always
I've
always
always-
been more in
yeah.
touch with that part.
I always thought I was Jamaican and you guys were American.
That's
I thought you guys are Black American,
Right.
and so, you know, me and Dad are Jamaican,
Right.
and you guys and Mom
Right,
were
right.
Black American, and
Mom's was
that's cool.
sounding Jamaican too.
Well,
she
mom
liked
can
to
be,
cook.
yeah, Mom can be sort of the global.
I might put Italy in there. So,
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Like, one of my good friends from undergrad rented this beautiful villa outside of Florence, and like it was a community, and for like 2 weeks, almost a month, and we spent time there and doing things, and it was just so beautiful, and it was so peaceful. So and it's close enough to Portuguese that I could understand and communicate.
I think it's interesting. My choices were based on what?
What? Blackness.
Yes.
Based
Yeah.
on color.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I
And
want
where
to
you
see
feel-
me and where I feel
Absolutely.
comfortable, where I feel seen, and where my child would feel seen, right? Or see himself, right? Because to me, I think I go back to, you know, when we were younger.
But it's very interesting, this woman, Adisa, in Thailand, and she's one person, but obviously there's several people like that I'm following online these days, is a Black woman, clearly from a Black community, who clearly has ended up in Thailand, and at least 6 months, a year into it, is saying, for her 10-year-old son and for herself, I didn't expect it, but this was exactly the right place to
I
be.
don't know that I feel safe, actually. And I hear you saying
Yeah,
it's safe.
that's precisely what she is saying. I'm not saying she's right,
Right.
but I'm saying
And I
she
also
is
want to know
she's
where in Thailand.
unequivocal about
Did
it.
she go to like
Yeah.
Phuket or Koh Samui, like
Right.
beach towns as touristy? Bangkok was like overwhelming, and there are like
Very.
people that wanted to like rip you off. I felt like, and I didn't speak Thai. So like, where are you? So I think that also is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Thailand.
Well, and you know, it's interesting. So part of me too is being able to fit in and to be able to mix in, because I don't want to be sort of like a little duck. Now, the reality is that I don't have a Jamaican accent. So yes, I do. I would stand out in Jamaica, but I would just, something in my soul would be filled. Because I love when I hear it, and I used to love like mimicking my friends. I saw him come. Like I would, I would mimic people, and so well, Brazil, I liked it because if I keep my mouth shut, I didn't stand out. And when I did talk, they may think I was from like a African country, so I was from Angola, or they would never put me to the States, right? South Africa, I didn't like that because I felt like I stood out like a sore thumb, where people automatically knew I was American, and I didn't like that because to me that's a target. Because of your shoes, what you're wearing, just even actually no. I remember one of my friends, and I was like, "Why do they know I'm American?" He's like, "Because you also look people in the eye. You look men in the eye."
You said in another conversation that your sense of what this country is, I think, had been shattered by what we just went through. And that's not that we didn't realize racism and unfairness in that, but how easily it can happen and how quickly people just scatter and just believe what to us seem like utter garbage.
That's true.
And you can't help but being humbled, right? And so that doesn't mean that other parts of the world are more fair, but you would be crazy to get abused in your home and not start to say, should I stay in this home, right? Right? You'd be crazy. You'd be crazy not to at least have that conversation. But also, I think COVID, seeing people I worked with during COVID move overseas, and so there's that. I'm now have delved into this whole world of Fiverr, as I call it, and Upwork, and the number of people who I'm working with across Nigeria and Slovenia and Philippines and other parts of the world, just kind of also as a piece of it. And then I think the way I'm consuming social media and seeing all these people, especially Black people, travel and live overseas, and the degree to which they were being super explicit about their experience and just saying, I know you guys don't believe me, but let me really break down what I'm spending. Let me break down what my experience is. All of that is doing it. And then probably, as you're saying, I hadn't thought about it till now, but part of it is probably just I haven't lived overseas. So there's probably also a little piece of, I might feel differently if I had sat here and I'd lived in Brazil, or I'd lived in Portugal, or I'd lived somewhere else. So I think those are the things that's making me
maybe
think even more strongly about it.
You've been to Australia.
I had good experiences in Australia a couple times. I don't know if there's anywhere in South America that immediately would get me excited. But again, I think some of it depends on how well you are doing and what you get set up. Like, if you know the actresses Debbie Allen, remember Debbie Allen from Fame, and then Felicia Rashad, her sister from The Cosby Show. So it turns out in the 1950s, their mom in Houston, Texas, didn't like the way her kids were being treated. And guess what her mom did?
What?
Packed up and moved the family to Mexico. And so it's just a reminder that for years, people have sometimes said,
there's a different way to do it.
There's a different way to do it.
Well, I love the flexibility, and I think that the way the world is working, and you can work fully remotely, and if you're willing to take different schedules, it can literally open up so many things. I love being able to work from home with my job and being able to go visit clients when I need to. So sort of, the flexibility is important. And you could go anywhere. So I've often thought maybe winter someplace, or 2 months in the summertime.
Carol, any final thoughts as we wrap this up?
I think one of the things is the more that it's happening and the more people are going, I think that can also help to build a community. Because I think community is just, to me, paramount and really important. But
I think that we're all friendly enough that we could build community wherever we went.
True.
Like for me, one of the interesting things about being a man traveling overseas, like women I think have an easier time meeting each other overseas. But as a man traveling overseas, the best thing for me was playing basketball. Because at least at the time I was traveling, basketball wasn't always popular in every place I went. So when I was in Ghana, or if I was in Iceland, or if I was in Cuba, if I was in, Argentina, I could meet people playing basketball. And then that would very naturally lead to kind of social invites. Hey, why don't you come out with us tonight for dinner? Why don't you come out with us? We're all watching the soccer game or what have you. And so that probably leads me to some kind of hopefulness that I could. And I always feel like if you really do want an expat community, you could always find an expat community.
But that's different.
But I feel like you could also find more than that.
I like the local. Expat community is nice, but I find there's depth when you really have local connections, and like that's where you really know the right hospitals to go to, or the right resources when you have to go get your identity card from the police station. And I mean, living an expat life is different, frankly. I understand, and I have real visibility at the expat life. It's nice, but it's a little sheltered, and it's.
Well, it's a lot sheltered because even if you remember Angola too, when we went and visited some family friends too, who were living an expat life, but also we were visiting the people that mom had lived with, right?
Visiting locals.
Yeah, locals,
people
right?
Who were native,
right?
Who were native to that. You know, the only last thing I would say is there is a part of me as well, though, that again, having been through what we all just went through, wants to be a part of the fight to change
Absolutely.
it, and wants to be a part of setting it right. Because I know if they could do it that easily to me, they do it. They're doing it to people all the time.
Carlos, you know that without a shadow of a doubt, because it looked so easy
smearing
for them to do
people,
that.
wrongfully prosecuting people, wrongfully convicting people, hiding evidence, kicking black people off the jury, bullying black people on the jury, the judge acting like a prosecutor. Like, they were doing that in broad daylight. And again, that wasn't like in some small podunk town. They were doing that in broad daylight in New York City, in supposedly liberal Brooklyn. And I'm like, if that's happening here, what is happening to people everywhere? And so when, again, as an aside, I know there are a lot of people who support the president, a lot of people who don't. And one of the things I say to the people who don't is, please stay open-minded, because just because you disagree with someone on one thing doesn't mean that they're not right on other things. And when he talks about a rigged system, and when he talks about weaponization, he's 100% right. That system convicts 99.6% of the people they indict.
It's a machine.
It's a machine.
Statistically impossible. It was interesting when I went to go visit one of my friends in Italy. She was doing her postdoc there. And I remember we got on, she was an engineer, and so we got on this bus, and we had to go through this town and everything, and in order to get to where she was going. Well, at any rate, we took this long bus ride, and there were all these black people on the bus. So I was like, oh gosh, hey, we're in Italy, hey, cool, we're seeing all these black folks. And but it was interesting because there weren't that many black folks around, and she was just like, this is statistically not really possible to have so many black folks here on this bus right now. It didn't make sense. And we drove, and all of a sudden we got to one part where there was all these trees and everything around, and the door opened. She's like, where is the stop? What's going on? And they all got off of the thing, and they were prostitutes that were there, and she was the last black person that was there. And they sort of looked back okay, everyone, this is your stop now, get off and everything. And she was just like, no. So it was statistically impossible to have so many black folks in a place where you don't have that. Just like it's statistically impossible to have 6% to be convicted when you can't tell me that there's not more people than that.
I mean, to be clear, that means it's easier to prove your innocence in China or Russia than it is in the US. And this isn't just something that happens one year. This is the last 25 years of data. Of the 72,000 people who get prosecuted every year, 71,700 end up convicted. That is not a fair system.
No.
And I don't think most people know that number. I think if you ask most people, what percentage of people who get indicted get convicted? They probably say 30%, 40%, maybe 60%. No one's going to say 99.6.
Well, Carlos, that's what was so wild, because when we found out the background, the statistical background of the 3 prosecutors from your case, and how we realized the last 5 years they had, put.
Even though they were in majority white Brooklyn, they were prosecuting 90% black and brown people, and they wanted us to believe that it was just an accident.
It was just, it was a fluke.
It was a fluke.
But didn't they say, but isn't it proven that black people commit more crimes than others?
And they put that in writing.
They put that in writing. They responded
2024?
Yeah, they put that in writing. They didn't say that black people get pulled over more often. They didn't say that they ignore crimes in parts of the city and only pay attention in part, or some people have lawyers and some people don't, or some people, they just say, as Chelsea Handler said, they just say, oh, you go on your way and don't do that again.
Yes.
And other people, they say, bad you, we're going to throw away the key. And so, and again, I don't only believe it's on race. I think the president's right. I think it's also sometimes on your politics too, or it's on who your enemies are, right? Your enemies are powerfully aligned. But I think that one of the things that holds me back from moving is knowing how many people this is happening to and wanting to be a part of changing this.
And to be fair, that's part of how we're wired, right? And like, we know to whom much is given, much is expected, right? And so we do have that responsibility, that social impact. You had the experience, God gave you grace, we had the miracle of the clemency, and so how can we use our voice to create better? Because this is not the system that should be for a just America.
Right. Because one of the things, again, that abusers count on is silencing you.
Well, that's why I was saying before that they anticipated your silence.
Correct.
Because you were such a prominent figure and your downfall was so big, they expected you to go sinking, slithering up under something to like not be heard again, right? They weren't counting on you actually saying, what the hell are you doing? This is not right.
This is wrong.
Yes.
If you stay quiet, or if they don't believe you when you come up, then it's only going to just happen to more people.
And it's going to be worse.
And it's only going to be worse. And you can see it right now. Arguably the most prominent African-American entrepreneur at the moment is this woman, Fawn Weaver, in Tennessee, who started a $1 billion whiskey brand, Uncle Nearest. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, less than a year after she's beaten out all the big boys, guess who's under investigation right now? She is. And so I just, unfortunately, it does feel like a playbook, and
it is a playbook.
I do hope that there is dramatic change, and I hope that.
And I hope you're a part of it. I hope we're part of it. I mean, all of us can. And I think they win when we start to think that we can't make a difference. Right? So,
and there's nothing you can do about it.
Correct.
So I just got to hang my head and keep it moving.
But it was powerful for me during this time listening to Frederick Douglass talk about his choices, listening to Mandela talk about, other members of the leadership group. He was in jail, but other members trying to decide, did they stay in South Africa during the crazy apartheid time, or did they go elsewhere in order to fight? And often they went to Angola, by the way, in order to train and fight and live. You hear people like Stokely Carmichael, who was later called Kwame Ture, who first prominently used the phrase Black Power, and he ends up moving overseas to Africa, and so you hear that and you see that with so many, and you start to kind of wonder, was I not being open-minded enough?
Absolutely.
And so that's part of what I hope we're saying today to people, is that not only because remote work allows you to do different, not only because the love of travel and seeing the world allows you to see different.
And even like with FaceTime and WhatsApp, you can keep connected with family, community in a cost-effective way. So that's another way. I remember, when I went to Angola, we only had these long-distance calls, and you had to use the local operator, and like if you missed it, you missed it.
That's so wild, all those times together. Well, I'm glad we had this conversation. I hope it ends up being good for some other people. You guys want to leave people with a final word or a final thought? You don't have to, but do you guys want to leave a final word, final thought, a final favorite thing?
I love to say, even if you don't relocate, I think it's always great to explore a part of the world. And so I am a big proponent for studying abroad, for exchanges. I think it opens minds, opportunities. And so, like I said, Brazil is my second home. So even if I might not be a candidate today, I am a candidate for like lifelong learning and lifelong exchange.
Hear, hear. I agree with what you said, Bev. Definitely being open to exploring, challenging different parts, challenging yourself to go and visit different parts of the world, and even being open to actually moving.
How about you, Carlos?
You know what? I want to encourage folks who are watching to tell us either about an experience moving overseas or tell us where you would go. So I'm going to leave everyone by saying, talk back to us, give us some insight, give us some knowledge, give us a little bit about your experience or a cousin's experience or a friend's, or tell us, dream with us. And Bev, that's one of your favorite words.
Yes.
You know, dream with us, get us thinking about maybe places that we didn't consider that maybe aren't on my radar. I love Peruvian food. Maybe I should be thinking about Peru. And maybe it's the idea that you move to places for 5 years at a time.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not just moving to one place, but maybe you're beginning a kind of a wonderful global around the world and back again journey.
I'm more of a around the world, go and visit and still build a community at one place. So I don't know I'd be doing the 5 years here, 5 years there, 5 years there. I think I'm gonna go, get involved, get immersed, have a good community, and then I'm gonna go travel and visit other places and come back and see. So you have some place to come back to. But tell us where you went, why did you go, how long did you stay, and would you go again?
Yeah, that's good. I'm kind of looking forward to hearing
Me
that.
too, because I'm totally open to try someplace new. Maybe I don't have my mind sort of sparked, so I'd love to find a new place to go.
And are you going as a single, or are you going as a group, as a part of a couple, right? So
Or family.
As a family, right? I think that makes a big difference too.
And that's a good thing. I actually have a good number of friends who are moving overseas.
Uncle James before he passed.
Yeah.
He did. He moved to Ecuador. I visited him there. He sure did.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. Cuenca
Yeah.
was a nice community, both expat, but he lived literally on the economy.
Yeah.
He lived
With the locals.
With the locals. And it was funny because even when he went to go like get his shirt tailored, he didn't really speak Spanish. And so I had to translate for him. I'm like, who translates for you the rest of the time? But like, and how old was he? He was like 75 when he did that.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. A lot of people are retiring. So lots of options.
Lots of options.
And lots of seasons of life that you can do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
tell us what you decide.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Hey guys, I hope you really enjoyed that episode. We've got a new great one every week. You know we've got good stuff, so make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you consider donating. Make sure you shop in our store. And most importantly, make sure you talk back to us. Tell us what you think. I'm Carlos.
I'm Beverly.
And I'm Carolyn.
And we're the Watsons,
stronger together.